So now that my zucchini and eggplant are in the oven, I'm going to show you another ingredient that I'm going to prepare for this meal. This is called broccoli rabe, and it's a leafy green. It actually looks like broccoli, where it has these little florets at the end, but it tastes a lot more like collard greens or kale. It's really bitter. It's really good for you, and I tend to love it. So this has been in my fridge for a couple days, and some of the leaves on the side are starting to get kind of gross, and some of the stems need to be trimmed off and cleaned up. So the first thing I'm going to do is trim off any of that stuff that doesn't look like I'm going to want to eat it. And the second thing I'm going to do is wash it in a big bowl of water and swish it around so any dirt or anything trapped in the leaves will fall to the bottom of my bowl, and I'll have a nice clean bunch of greens. While I do that, I'm going to have a pot of water on the stove that I'm going to use to blanch this when it's all cleaned and ready to go. Cut off a bunch of the bottom of the stem just because it's a pretty tough part that we don't typically eat. I've picked through a lot of the kind of yucky, soggy stuff, and the rest of this is ready to wash. So I'm going to dunk it in a big bowl of water and agitate it around, swish it around. Let it sit for a second so any dirt can fall to the bottom of the pool of water. And then I can just pull it out of the bowl from the top of the water, and I'll just toss it in a strainer until I'm ready to put it in my boiling water. All right, ready for the next step. We're going to blanch our broccoli rabe. I've got my pot of water up to a boil. I've got my broccoli rabe cleaned up, trimmed the ends, and nice and washed very thoroughly. And I'm going to put about a tablespoon, maybe 2 teaspoons of salt into my boiling water. This is our chance to season the broccoli rabe, as well as, we're doing this ahead. We're kind of, almost it's like an act of preservation, right? So if I left it in the bag in my fridge for another 2 days, it probably would have become pretty mushy and gross and maybe not edible. So I'm not wasting food. I'm going to blanch it. We are going to eat it tonight or tomorrow, so the salt's not really going to preserve it for that long, but it does help. So water is salted and boiling, and I'm going to dunk it in. This takes about 2 or 3 minutes. To blanch. I also have ready a bowl of ice water. When we are done blanching the broccoli rabe, the next step in the process is called shocking. So we'll pull it out and we'll immediately dunk it into the ice water to stop the cooking. This is a good way of keeping the greens nice and tender and crisp without becoming mushy, and it also keeps them nice and bright green. Blanch and Shock is a great method for all kinds of vegetables, especially if you're getting ready to put them in your freezer. So green beans, broccoli, leafy greens like kale and collards, all of these things can really benefit from being blanched and shocked before they're frozen. They come out a lot better when you pull them out from the freezer. So I'll let this go for about 2 minutes, and then it's ice bath time. All right. We're ready to pull these out from the water. Blanch is over. Time to shock. Right in. Since I have my water and ice bath set up, this would be a great opportunity for me to blanch and shock any other ingredients that I might feel would benefit from this sort of treatment in a do-ahead kind of manner, just to be efficient. All right. So I'll let these cool down and drain them. I'm planning on using these in a pasta dish with some white beans later today. So I'll probably chop them up and saute them with a little garlic, mix them with pasta and beans, which are great pantry staples that I always have on hand, and serve it alongside our eggplant parm for dinner. So I'm going to check on our eggplant in a minute after I get cleaned up from this.